Our player in the purple. I like the fact that players are using purple today. He's spelled his name twice in his tag. Without his plan, he is
SC for you.
SCSC. Maybe the second SC stands for StarCraft. It's like SC StarCraft.
Some fans in the audience. That's actually,
wow,
if I remember correctly, that's Gom Girl. You can come meet her at the studio if you come.
Yeah. And here he's down a game. He needs to increase his performance here.
OGS Hyperdub.
Hyperdub needs to play some Hyper StarCraft if he's going to be able to go to the round of 32 today, because he is down a game to SC, the semifinalist, the taker outer of Lucira, the Star Zerg of last season, other than, of course, the real Superstar Zerg. And he is going gas first. SC going gas first here. Whoa. What is Hyperdub going to do? Barracks first.
Well,
for a second I was like, oh, he's not building anything. He might go for a command center, but he did go for the barracks first. Hyperdub's going to go gas first and then build his barracks so he can get his factory out as soon as possible after the barracks completes.
Normally when you go gas first, it means you want your factory as soon as possible. That can mean many things, Moltrap, from Banshees to pre-igniter Hellions to just a faster factory in general. Sometimes it means you want to do this really quick timing attack with a medevac.
Could be anything.
It could. I mean,
it could be literally
that's
anything.
The thing about TVT. It's just you watch it, and there are so many different builds that each player can do that you just don't actually know what's going to happen right from the start.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen a lot lately. There's been a build that's kind of become pretty popular where you get that gas first, and then you can kind of go into Banshees off one gas, so you can keep a good economy, because you start getting gas early enough that you can still barely have enough gas for the factory, the starport, the tech lab. You can get Banshees out pretty quick. Of course, that's just an option that we've seen a lot lately, and there is the factory immediately upon completion of the barracks, whereas Hyperdub's getting a tech lab there, maybe a Reaper expand?
Yeah, you do see that sometimes. You get the Reaper out, you scout, so you can expand behind it relatively safely. That's what Karn calls all the time, the Reaper expand. Like, Karn, you just made one Reaper to scout. He's like, no, it's the Reaper expand. Talks to me about it all the time.
There is the Reaper, you can see on the production tab. And
I'm like, Karn, what are you going to do with all the extra gas? He's like, nah, it's a Reaper expand. Like, it's just a scouting Reaper, then it's a normal expansion build. It's like the tease Karn. I don't know if he's listening. He might be back at the GOM house listening to us.
Practicing. And there's, in fact, SCV position to make that expansion. There it goes.
So he is going to be doing that build, and you know, the Reaper expand is a legitimate build, but I just think it's funny to call it that because...
Why is it funny to call it that?
Well...
You call it a one barracks expand if you make one barracks expand.
Well, he's actually making two Reapers. That's really the Reaper expand.
Hyperdub! Curse you!
Well,
okay, well this might be...
This is really interesting because this actually...
We've seen lately.
Yeah, it is. And this is actually the Reaper expand. And you know, what I was talking about earlier is a different build where you only make one Reaper, then you expand. But this time, he's actually used the Reapers to control the map, and it's really good for this particular map because there's several different locations the Reapers can jump up. There's like 6 SCV spots at Command Center.
Yeah, and wait, is this the version with the little low ground next to the third as well that you can go between? Yeah. So there's plenty of spots here, and there's a Hellion out as well for SC. So
gotta be very careful with those Reapers.
No, the Reaper needs to run. Oh, he loses the first Reaper. That is horrible. That's really, really bad. Because we've seen the build that I was thinking of that's kind of become popular. Nada used it after it was used against him by Straylock. Is you get a couple Reapers and then into Blue Flame Hellions and just do a lot of harassment. It looks like that's not what Hyperdub's doing though. Actually, losing that one Reaper is bad. But SC does have those Banshees coming. He did do the one gas to start Banshee build. He's getting Cloak though. He got a second gas, so he's getting Cloak instead of an expansion off of it, which we often see. So very interesting. And Hyperdub is going to get those Blue Flame Hellions after all. Really strange combination here.
Really funky opening in general. It looks like the bunker is going to be up in time for SC's Hellions to run up.
Oh, he needs to jump in that bunker though. There he does. Hellions decide not to run by.
Reapers actually do really well against Hellions if they can hit them. When they're in bunkers, they get extra range.
This is actually, wow. What does SC have for this Banshee? Does he have anything to deal with
He actually has 1 Marine and 3... Okay, he's got 1 Marine in the bunker. Or actually, that's a Reaper, so he's just got 3 Marines.
He's got 3 Marines to deal with Cloak Banshees. He's got no eBay. No,
well, he does have an eBay,
no,
yeah.
I'm sorry, he does have a turret going in his main, but he's got nothing at the expansion, and this is really nice. The Hellions come in, to help out as well. They can block against Marines trying to kill the Banshee.
This is actually looking really tough for Hyperdub. He is going to run those Marines in, but here come the Hellions. Not targeting on the Marines exactly right, but he does take out a lot of hit points on those Marines, and now he close. There's a lot of scan energy, but you don't want to scan when you only have 3 Marines. Nicely gets in the bunker, but 1 Marine left. He does have a reactor on the barracks, so 2 Marines will pop out at a time.
Wow, this Banshee could do so much damage. Hyperdub's already behind right now.
Oh man, the second Banshee shows up as well. Hyperdub is in so much trouble. He's like
so
going
bad.
over here to look for SCVs. There's no SCVs there.
That one turret is protecting all of his SCVs in the main, but yeah, this is really bad. He just doesn't have, he's got a reactor there. He's trying to take out the reactor with the Banshee in order to stop Marine production, and I think it's going to work because if any SCVs come to repair that, they're going to perish.
And Hyperdub has a Viking, but he's not scanning to kill the Banshee, so I find that really strange.
Oh, lets his reactor die. Look at this, Banshee is so bored, it's attacking a bunker right now. And there's nothing he can do about this. Finally, the Banshee runs out of energy, and the Viking goes to work. He's gonna lose a bunker to a Banshee. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that happen in GSL.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, he actually has scans, but there was only 1 Marine in the bunker at the time, so he was like, is it even worth it? Finally scans, he's had this Viking out this entire time. Hyperdub falling apart at the seams.
Hyperdub moving his Viking so it doesn't get as many shots off. So the Banshee, actually the Banshee just gives up and dies, but so it doesn't matter, but SC is going to follow up with Blue Flame Hellions after this, and an expansion.
Yeah, this is starting to look kind of silly, man. I mean, I was starting to look kind of silly because I was like, oh, Reaper Expand. They actually did the Reaper Expand build. That's a really old build that's coming back to popularity.
Yeah, but that's the thing is...
And then just all these things are happening. The Reaper Expand, sometimes just like a Marauder Expand in TVP where if your opponent goes Void Raise, it's like you just don't have that much anti-air.
Yeah, there's some Terrans that will tell you in TVT, if you see a tech lab, go Banshees. You know, because if they have that Reaper, if they invest too much into that, or if they go Marauders or something like that, then you catch them so off guard with Banshees. I think SC was doing it anyway, but just going for those 2 Reapers, and the expansion, he has no Marines, nothing to do about those Banshees, and is so far behind right now. 30, actually he's caught up in SCV count, but he's just so positionally behind.
SC is going to actually drop, well, he's going to get dropped by these Hellions. That's one thing that's not what I was going to say, but here they come.
And they're going to do nothing, actually. 0 kills on those Hellions.
But anyway, as I was, both players, it's kind of a funky situation right now. Now, Hyperdub had his command center up a little bit faster, so he was able to get those extra SCVs out, even though he didn't lose that many to the attack. The Banshees killed the reactor, damaged the tech lab.
That last Hellion goes in, gets a couple kills, but yes, does get a few kills there. Vikings landing to kill that.
Hyperdub just not doing a good job of dealing with this harassment. And part of it comes down to him not having that many Marines when the Banshees came in, but he had scans, he had Vikings, he just didn't defend it properly.
Yeah. Now, I was actually... and on the right side, right over to the right, a drop was going in, but get caught by the Vikings, so it's not going to be able to get in. He might lose the medevac, does lose the medevac with a Marine and SCV inside, I believe. And those Hellions are not going to be able to do anything. That was kind of a clever idea. I think he was planning on using the Marine to like stop Vikings and then the SCV to repair the Hellions and stuff, but it just didn't work out that way. Another Banshee on the way down the middle of the map. So Hyperdub, he actually, I was about to say he's not in as bad a position as I thought, but the macro of SC is really kicking in now.
Yeah, SC is really starting to get his units in now. This Banshee is going to try to pick off as many Marines as she can. Just be very careful not to get too close to the missile turrets. Hyperdub actually does not have any scans saved up, so he's going to target down that tech lab, which is actually researching Stim. And he actually just does not have any scans whatsoever. He's about 11 seconds away from getting a scan.
What is he doing? Repair! Repair! Ah! Ooh, so close.
Losing some SCVs now, though.
And if he'd lost him, that would have been so bad. Does repair at the last moment. That's actually, I mean, if you can pull it off that way, it works out well, because time that they're attacking a building you can repair is time they're not killing your units.
Here comes some Hellions!
Oh no!
Oh, he's not pulling the SCVs right!
Oh no! So many SCVs in so much danger right now. He's microing and probably is he going to get the last hit on those SCVs? Those are the luckiest group of SCVs ever. Man, there were so many times when one more hit would have killed half of SCVs.
Well, that's that
SCV
kind of
foe you.
indecisiveness that I'm talking about. If you've got the Hellions there and you target down the SCVs just a little bit better, he could have killed so many SCVs there, like 20 of them practically.
Yeah. You need to chase the SCVs at that point. It doesn't do much good to kite and try and run away from the Marines. No, if you can get that one shot off
Yeah,
with
you can
the
just
blue
right click
flame.
on. But here comes a huge force from SC. Is he going to attack here?
Whoa.
Does have siege mode, but Hyperdub sieges up first. Not the best engagement for SC.
And Hyperdub really targeting down some tanks there and able to fall back to his siege tanks. Hyperdub not out yet, man. Putting up a little bit of a fight, but he's got so many damaged Marines from that stim that the Banshee's picking them all off until the Vikings show up.
Did lose a lot of Marines there. Now, the Marines up Hyperdub do not have combat shields yet. The combat shields are almost done. SC does have combat shields. I think he was trying to hit a timing. Just didn't siege up first. Hyperdub sieged up and he got a little bit nervous, pulled back. Smart choice. But he's about 20 supply ahead right now. His macro has been intense. He's building off of all of his structures at once. I've actually never seen him get supply blocked except at this very moment. I was about to say I've never seen him get supply blocked so far in this game because I always check for that, but he's supply blocked as I say that. So it's pretty funny. Starting his third command center up as well back at home. Hyperdub, man. He's got sensor tower up. He's trying to defend against these drops. The Banshees just lost so many units here and there that it's hard for him to catch up and take that map control.
Yeah.
He's kept up in SCV production. It's even Harvester count right now. And his macro hasn't been terrible, but his map control and his siege tank count is not where it needs to be.
His macro has actually been decent. It's actually been pretty good. He's been staying behind SC, but he's been not losing ground as far as how behind he is. So yeah, if he can keep that up, and he does have the Viking advantage, I believe, still.
He does?
Yeah, he barely has the Viking advantage. So that might help him in the positional battles, trying to gain vision for his tanks and that kind of thing. He can try and like do some antics where he like slowly moves up his tanks and like barely gets within range and tries to pick stuff off.
Here's
if he
the
can do
drop.
something like that, that could work. But here is the drop.
Looks like the Banshees, or rather Vikings, are going to chase the dropship away. The one Marine shooting at Vikings helplessly. A little bit of damage. So nice repel there by Hyperdub. The Hyperdub keeps scanning. I think he realizes I may be able to move out, do a little bit of damage, especially when these drops are out and some of the Marines are not with the main army. He keeps looking like he wants to go for it, try to circumvent the army of SC, but he's a little bit, he's just kind of going, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. And in TPT, sometimes it's safe to just sit back. Better safe than sorry, not walk into siege lines.
Oh, is he going to go for this? Not going to go for it. Well, SC's not going to go for it. He's going to fall back.
Yeah, it's hard to engage when your opponent has a Xel'Naga Watchtower. I feel like Hyperdub right at this very moment has a better army, but does not want to engage the Xel'Naga Watchtower, so SC takes advantage of that moment, backs away, tries to get himself into a good concave, wants to take that third base, but hasn't completely destroyed those rocks yet.
He might have been like in the middle of it when Hyperdub moved out, and he's like, oh crap, gotta get my army back. That's great. It does perfectly fine next to
Here
the
we
rocks.
go. SC having a better concave. His Marines firing first. His tanks sieged up second, but he has so many Marines to buffer here. I think Hyperdub is in trouble. He's lost all of his units.
So bad there. A lot of low hit point units, and Hyperdub does sacrifice a few Marines to get a few more kills on SCs. But basically, that was just a numbers game there. SC had 40 supply over Hyperdub at the beginning of that battle, so there was nothing Hyperdub could do. Even having been sieged up first, a little Viking harassment going on. That's how behind Hyperdub is. He knows he needs to do something to get back in this game and distract him. Marauder says that is not possible.
SC is just going to ignore it. He does clean it up, and he's moving forward here, sieging up some tanks. Hyperdub just does not have the buffer he needs for these siege tanks. And these SCVs coming out doing a little bit of damage, but
GG coming from Hyperdub. And SC Foyu, the semi-finalist of last season, showing that he is stronger than Hyperdub, who playing pretty badly lately. And coming out with just basically a better macro game altogether.
Well, a lot of that game came down to the Reapers. Did a Reaper expand, didn't have enough anti-air, didn't react properly, didn't use his scans. He had, I'm not joking, he had like 6 scans saved up, and he had 2 Vikings, and the Banshee is just sitting there next to the Viking, just not using the scans. I think he must have just
killed a reactor.
Yeah, I'm guessing he must have just lost it there in the middle of that game.
Oh man. That was, I don't know, man.
I don't want to be super critical of Hyperdub, but he could have played a better game in so many different ways. His macro was so good, he was able to kind of almost catch up. He had that second command center up fast, so he was making SCVs off of 2 command centers. Didn't lose that many SCVs.
Yeah.
He lost his reactor, almost lost one of his tech labs, had to pull some SCVs, lost some SCVs there.
Yeah,
but he didn't lose that much, and his macro was pretty good. He just engaged poorly a few times, threw away some Hellions.
No, I think you're right that he just kind of like saw the Banshees and was like, what do I do?
Yeah, he's
what
like,
do
if this happens, then I don't have any Marines when I do this build, and
Anyway, so by the way, interesting development here.
Wow. I just heard that in my ear, and I was like, what?
Noblesse, unfortunately, was stuck in traffic or something like that, and it is not here yet. And they were the last match of the day, so there's no excuses for that.
Yeah,
so
Maka gets a walkover.
Maka gets a walkover win. I think that's the first time we've had. I think that's the first time we've had a walkover in the GSL.
Well, actually, there have been a few, but
have there?
Yeah, back a while ago in the open seasons, there were like 3.
Okay.
I remember all these little things. I don't remember the players. I think Line actually happened to him once. He got a walkover. But anyway, this is a little bit strange.
Wow.
These things do happen. But Noblesse, I was a little excited to see him play. He showed some really interesting TVT strategies, but these things do happen. He may have some personal problems, or his subway might have had some trouble. But these things happen. There's nothing you can do about them. So really sad to hear that.
On a brighter note, I did want to point out though. I was just over off to the side here. If you do come to Seoul, make sure you stop by the GSL Studio for some games. We have them almost every week, almost every day, and it is so cool to come down here. I just was realizing how cool it is to be here. Just glancing off to the side, and Choya is chatting with Marine King. They're just chilling out, hanging out with Leenock.
Maka's dancing over there a little bit.
Together.
He's probably playing that Queen song he was listening to earlier. He's actually dancing a little bit.
So if you do happen to come down to Seoul, we're on line 5, the purple line, Mokdong Station. And it's a pretty quick route down here. It's always fun here. You can always see the pro gamers in person, see the casters.
They're
in
very
person
friendly.
If that's your
There's
bag.
actually no unfriendly pro gamers that I've seen so far. You ask them, try to talk to them. If their Korean's not very good, they'll still attempt to talk to you, or at least get someone who can talk to you to translate. They're very, very friendly, and they really want to meet you as much as you want to meet them. So don't feel
they
shy.
really do. Even if they don't speak any English at all, if they're walking by to their booth and you're fighting, they'll know it, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's cool. I got a fan in the audience." Anyway, we're gonna check out today's match results. Review one more time here, and there we go. OGS top dominating Startail August. OGS Zenio going down surprisingly to Choya Foyu and a nice 3-game series, and SC Foyu. I wouldn't quite say dominated as much, but did definitely have a decisive win over Hyperdub 2-0. Just out-macroed him and out-positioned him at every turn. And Maka Prime gets the win over Noblesse with a 0-0 score due to the walkover, due to Noblesse. Now we're going to check out the round of 32 groups. The round of 32 starts tomorrow, and it is going to be starting with a bang. MVP versus Gonzi.
That's going to be a pretty
I don't know,
awesome
man. I do, actually. I do know who's going to win that one. But Supernova versus MMA, and that's going to be pretty good, too, actually. Those guys are both really good. Supernova's pretty good at TVT. Ryung versus Violet. Whoa, that is going to be an awesome match as well. And Keen versus Juktu. I'm so excited about tomorrow's matches. Those are going to be great. Tastos is going to be starting off the round of 32 before they head to MLG for the weekend. And that is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and our next group will be TSL Trickster versus the Best Foyu, MVP Genius versus Slayer's Men, Hongan Prime Wii versus TSL Revival, Startail Ace versus Rinking. I actually like all of those matches better than the last ones.
Well, fine. I like their
And I'm casting that day, so that's cool.
Good stuff. All right, so that is what the round of 32 is going to look like for this week. And
next week we've got TSL Clyde versus the Best Foyu, Zenex Bjorn versus Slayers Alicia, SC Foyu versus Maka Prime, Polt Prime versus Liquid Huck. Yep. And our last group, Zenex Line versus Zenex Kyrix, an unfortunate team kill situation there. Startail Virus versus OGS Nada. Pretty cool TBT. OGS Top playing against Choya Foyu. And last but not least, maybe the most epic match of all, Startail Bomber versus I Am Nesty.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to be staying up for that one. That is going to be so crazy.
Okay, so tomorrow, because of MLG, Bomber will be playing first because he is, of course, going to attend MLG.
That's right. Excellent. Yeah, we as part of the league exchange, we made sure that anyone going to MLG played their round of 32 matches tomorrow. And Bomber is, I guess, the only one. Monsieur got eliminated in the round of 64, surprisingly. MMA is already playing tomorrow, and Moon is already eliminated as well, I think. So there you go. So yeah, definitely tune in tomorrow. Dude, I get to be here. I don't have to stay up late next week. I get to be here for Bomber versus Nesty. That's going to be sweet. Anyway, so that's going to do it for today's matches. We had some pretty exciting series. You know, I got to admit, I was kind of not as excited about today's matches as I have been in past matches. Even though, like, I did think they were going to be competitive, they were actually even better than I was expecting. Yeah. So I'm really excited that we got some really good games today. Even though a couple of them were sort of blowouts.
Yeah, a little bit funky.
They were fun blowouts with you know, Banshees and Reapers and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So very interesting games.
There were some good games today. I mean, TBT sometimes a lot of people think can be pretty boring, but can lead to some exciting matches, some long, drawn-out matches. We didn't really see too much of that today. But
and of course, our last Terran versus Terran was much shorter than any other matchup.
That's true.
Since it didn't happen.
I'm very sad about that, actually.
I'm a little bit sad about that, too.
Play.
But he does get a walkover, so we'll see him play in the round of 32. Again, by the way, I am Moletrap. You can follow me at Moletrap on Twitter. You can follow Wolf at FXOWolf.
Yep.
Do you want me to like let you say that? Do you want to say your
No,
own
it's cool.
Twitter?
It's cool for you to say that for me. I want to also mention, though, that Intel G-Skill and LG 3D Cinema.
LG Cinema 3D, that's correct. Anyway, it has been a blast casting here at the GSL. Thank you to everyone that has watched and supported me. Hopefully I'll be back at some point. I am Moletrap, with me as Wolf here at the GSL Super Tournament. Thanks for watching.
See you guys next time.